Good evening, ghoulies and ghosties and long-leggedy beasties. This is Alex coming at you from the underworld, and welcome back to another episode of. Have you ever just been at that point in your life where you're like, I don't need to spend any more money. I need to try to save. I don't need to go to a bookstore. I'm just going to buy more books. I need to really be frugal. And then you just sit back and think to yourself, screw that crap. I'm going to live. And that is exactly what I did because, as many of you know, I've had a really, really rough August and I just decided to treat myself at a bookstore. So, yeah, I probably shouldn't have, but I did, and I don't feel bad about it. I might be doing some ramen and hot dogs for a little bit, but you know what? It's gonna be worth it. And even though I've heard a little bit of what to expect of these books, I mostly just did an impulse buy and grabbed some of them simply because the covers look good. And I mean, that's how I've always been. Like, even when I was a kid and would rent horror movies from the video rental down the street, like, I never really read the synopsis. I just looked at the box. I'm like, okay, this looks cool. And I went with it. And 9 out of 10 times, I was pleasantly surprised. And I've always adapted that into my life. Now, of course, in the unboxing videos, I have started reading some of the synopsis of the books that I've received, just so you can get a good idea of what to expect. So, I'm probably going to do the same thing here, but I'm not going to go overboard with any descriptions because I love going into things as blindly as possible. So, with that said, I'm about to show off the book haul that I recently did. First up is the anthology Never Whistle at Night. Now, my good friend Tammy read this and she thoroughly enjoyed it. I have really been meaning to include more Indigenous authors in my library, and I feel like an anthology is the perfect way to do this because anthologies tend to introduce a lot of new authors to me. And since this is a horror book of nothing but Indigenous horror stories written by Indigenous persons, I feel like this is a really great starting point. So I'm imagining that we're going to get a lot of lore in this. There's probably going to be stories about ghosts, curses, stuff like that, which I love those subjects. And I know there's quite a few different cultures who believe you should never whistle at night. A few years ago, we ended up going to the Ozarks, and while we were outside, my husband was very adamant on me not whistling at night because there's superstition that you could awaken something evil in the woods or a spirit could become attached to you. So that was fun, and I whistled. Nothing happened, but it was still kind of creepy. So this says many indigenous people believe that one should never whistle at night. It can cause evil spirits to appear and even follow you home. Well, there we go. These wholly original and shiver-inducing tales induce readers to ghosts, curses, hauntings, monstrous creatures, complex family legacies, desperate deeds, and chilling acts of revenge. So, yeah, I feel like this is going to be a very great smorgasbord for me to sink my teeth into, and hopefully I can get to it sooner than later. All right, y'all. I know I'm late to the game with this one. I know everyone's probably already read it, which of course I'm just going to be the last man out as always. But I finally got Stephen King's You Like It Darker. And this is a collection of his short stories. I've heard tell that the sequel to Cujo is in here. And I've always enjoyed Stephen King's short stories. Like, I've never picked up a collection of his that I didn't like. And I've read his short story collections ever since I was a kid. It just seems like they've been a fun way to kill time. And one of my favorites still remains Nightmares and Dreamscapes. That collection there was really awesome. And of course, Everything's Eventual. That's another favorite. Full Dark No Stars. That's awesome as well. Skeleton Crew, who could forget Skeleton Crew? Night Shift, just, yeah. He has had some really kick-ass collections, and I'm expecting this one will be just as good. Another book I'm really excited about, and I'm trying to build up my library with this author's work a little bit more, especially when it comes down to his horror work, which I think this is maybe only the second horror book he's written, but this is Chuck Tingle. And I do have Camp Damascus that I need to read. I've heard a lot of people say it's great. I'll probably listen to the audiobook for that one because Mara Wilson reads it and I love her. So that's going to be fun. But Bury Your Gaze. Honestly, don't have any clue what to expect. Let's take a peek. Pretty much, Misha knows that chasing success in Hollywood can be hell. But finally, after years of trying to make it, his big moment is here, an Oscar nomination. And the executives at the studio for his long-running streaming series know just the thing to kick his career to the next level. Kill off the gay characters for the algorithm in the upcoming season finale. All right, so that is pretty much going to seal the deal for this. I believe this is going to be a slasher. I love slashers. I feel like I don't read enough of them. So I'm really happy to see that we're getting more LGBTQ plus horror out there. And sometimes I know people will be like, well, why does it matter if it's LGBTQ plus? I mean, horror is horror. Well, the thing is, when you read horror that's based from a minority perspective, you end up getting a completely different take on subjects that have been done numerous times before. So, yeah, this is going to be fun. This next book is one I've had my eye on for a while, and that is Mary by Nat Cassidy. And I don't know what to expect with this, but I've seen it float around a lot of readers groups. People seem to enjoy it. I know this is the author's debut book, and I'm thinking it's going to be a ghost story. Just, it seems like a ghost story to me. Um, there's some pretty good praise on here from Clay McLeod Chaplin, Brian Keene, Kathy Koja, and maybe this is going to be about Bloody Mary. I don't know. I love urban legends, but I'm just going to breeze through this. Mary is a quiet, middle-aged woman doing her best to blend into the background, unremarkable, invisible, unknown even to herself. But lately, things have been changing inside Mary. Along with the hot flashes and body aches, she can't look in the mirror without passing out, and the voices in her head have been urging her to do unspeakable things. All right. I'm skipping a little bit here, but Mary discovers that these experiences are echoes of an infamous serial killer. Okay, this is definitely going to be psychological. I think this will probably scare me. I mean, it just seems like it's going to be loads of fun. I don't think it has anything to do with Bloody Mary, but maybe it could. I mean, there's the whole idea of not looking in the mirror and stuff. So, yeah, this will be fun. The next book I have is one that I definitely am looking forward to. I've read another book by this author and it scared the hell out of me, which I'm talking about Paul Tremblay. And I haven't heard anything much about horror movie, but I did read Cabin at the End of the World, and that absolutely terrified me. It made me sob like a baby, and I am looking for that all over again. But with this book, I love how it's colored. Love that. I remember when some paperbacks used to do that back in the day, especially older ones that I would find in like the used bookstore. But I digress. I'm going to kind of see what this is about. Not going to try to give away too much, but a chilling twist on the cursed film genre from the best-selling author of The Pallbearers Club and The Cabin at the End of the World. In June 1993, a group of young guerrilla filmmakers spent 4 weeks making Horror Movie, a notorious, disturbing art house horror flick. The weird part, Only 3 of the film's scenes were ever released to the public, but horror movie has nevertheless grown a rabid fan base. 3 decades later, Hollywood is pushing for a big budget reboot. All right, I'm leaving it alone there. This feels like it's gonna kind of be Blair Witchy. That's fine by me. I love the Blair Witch. I'm not certain if this is going to trail off into being a snuff film or not. Even so, I'm fine with it. I've read the book Survivor by J.F. Gonzalez, and that really screwed me up, but it was good. So if this is snuff related, I can deal with it. And yeah, I really just want to dedicate some time to reading nothing but Paul Tremblay, like just knocking out all of his books, one right after next. So maybe next year. I wish I had more time to read, damn it. All right. So the next 2 books I'm going to show off, I've read them. It's been a long time ago since I've read them, but I found these covers and I totally had to upgrade. Look at that. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and Bram Stoker's Dracula. I love the whole pop art image here. Like, that is just so flippin' cool. And on the back of the Frankenstein, there's a quote. It's one of the quotes from the book that truly stood out to me when I read it. If I cannot inspire love, I will cause fear. Yes. So that is absolutely beautiful. And I don't necessarily remember this quote in Dracula, but I assure you it's in there, it's on the book, so it's there. The world seems full of good men, even if there are monsters in it. Like, I love it. Like, it's so cool how we see the back of their heads and the front of their faces and everything. So I love the color choices there. That is just so much fun. And this, I want to read it during winter. I really wish we had some cold winters down here. Sometimes we do, most of the time we really don't, but I would just love to be snowbound for a week and just be cut off from the outside world. That would be wonderful. But I have Darcy Coates' Dead of Winter. And I have a few other books by Darcy Coates. I haven't read them yet. I know some people absolutely love her, others not so much. But this says when Krista joins a tour group heading deep into the Rocky Mountains, she is hopeful this will be her chance to put the ghost of her past to rest. But when a bitterly cold snowstorm sweeps the region, the small group is forced to take shelter in an abandoned hunting cabin. Despite the uncomfortable claustrophobic quarters and rapidly dropping temperature, Krista believes they'll be safe as they wait out the storm. She couldn't be more wrong. Okay, so there's more to this. I'm gonna skip out on it. I love the idea of being just snowbound and the potential of cabin fever setting in. Kind of makes me think of, like, I don't know, The Shining in a way. I feel like it's going to be psychological. I know that she works a great deal with ghost, so it could borderline haunting or reality. I'm not too certain, but it just seems like it's going to be fun. Now, this is an author who I've been meaning to get some books of, and I recently got one of her books in a Nightworms package, and I spoke about that on the unboxing video for that package, and my good friend Tammy surprised me with this lovely little book. Yeah, I didn't buy this one. This was actually gifted to me, but I'm including it in this video because I still think it should be part of this book haul. But this is Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung. And I know it's a collection of short stories. I don't know what to expect with all of them, but I've heard tell that there is a story in this about a woman who is haunted by her own bodily waste. It's some shit. Yeah. So this says a stunning, wildly original debut from rising star of Korean literature, surreal, chilling fables that take on the patriarchy, capitalism, and the reign of big tech with absurdist humor and sometimes literal bite. From an author never before published in the United States, Curse Bunny is unique and imaginative, blending horror, sci fi fairy tales, and speculative fiction into stories that defy categorization. By turns thought provoking and stomach turning, there are monsters that take the shape of furry woodland creatures, and danger lurks in unexpected corners of everyday apartment buildings. But in this unforgettable collection, translated by the acclaimed Anton Her, Chung's absurd, haunting universe could be our own. So, this is going to be a lot of fun. I wasn't expecting for there to be humor mixed in with her work, but I'm all for it. This next book is by an author who I've been meaning to read, but I just haven't done it yet. And that is Cuckoo by Gretchen Flecker Martin. I hope I'm saying that name correct. But I do have Manhunt. I haven't read it yet. I really want to. And I mean, this cover right here, it just pops. It is so awesome. And it looks disturbing as hell. So it says on the front, one of these things is not like the other. Paul Tremblay gave it praise. And on the back, it says Cuckoo is a vicious new novel about a group of teens who must stay true to themselves while in a conversion camp from hell. So we're going to have religious trauma here. Something evil is buried deep in the desert. It wants your body, it wears your skin. All right. Okay, so I think this is going to be kind of like Who Can You Trust? Maybe in the same idea of the body snatchers or Who Goes There, something like it looks like your friend but it's not really your friend. In the summer of 1995, 7 queer kids abandoned by their parents at a remote conversion camp came face to face with it. They survived, but at Camp Resolution, everybody leaves a different. Is this going to be like the Stepford Wives? I think this is going to be like the Stepford Wives now. Everybody leaves a different person. 16 years later, only the scared and broken survivors of that terrible summer can put an end to the horror before it's too late. The fate of the world depends on it. Maybe aliens. I don't know. I'm really excited for this. This is going to be fun. That sounds really, really kick ass. And last is a book by an author who I first read last year when I encountered his book called All Hallows, which this is House of Last Resort by Christopher Golden. Now, I absolutely loved All Hallows. I felt like it was creepy as hell and it just put me in the Halloween mood. With this, I have no idea what to expect. I've simply wanted to collect Golden's work since I've read his book, because it just he put me there. He did a great job of that. So it says from the New York Times best-selling award-winning author of Road of Bones and All Hallows comes a sensational new novel set against the backdrop of a Sicilian town about an unspeakable horror that will chill your bones. All right, so I am just going to skip out on that synopsis. I am happy with not knowing anything here. If you want to look it up, just go to Amazon or something like that. The synopsis is there. But I've learned if you see someone say that a book is good, which I've seen people say this is good, just kind of go with that. Maybe just read a little bit of it or just indulge yourself with an image or two. But I've learned that for me, if I want to fully enjoy a work, I don't need to submerge myself with all of its information before I get into it, because I tend to think if I do that, then my hopes will be really high. I'll feel like it will be very hyped up, and then it won't live up to my expectations. So I've discovered personally for me, If I hear something's good once or I see it pop up and it looks interesting, just go with it and ignore everything until you experience it. So that's what I'm going to do here. And with All Hallows, I went into that not knowing a single thing and it blew me away. So, because of me having that experience, I'm just leaving The House of Last Resort right there. So, those are the books that I loaded up on. If you've read any of them, just simply let me know if you enjoyed them or not. Don't reveal any spoilers. If you want to say like a specific story is good, or like a specific story is about like a ghost or a demon or a creature or whatnot, feel free to do that. Even if you connected with the characters, feel free to comment on that, but please no spoilers. So now that we're at the end of this video, I would like to thank these amazing people for contributing to my Patreon account. As you can tell, some of the names listed here are creators, so be sure to check out their work. And if you would like to contribute to my Patreon account, I have a link available in the description section of this episode, where for $5 a month, I'll give you a shout out at the end of my videos. And if there is a certain profession you would like for me to tie to your name, just let me know and I'll do that. Also, I do have a $10 tier available, where for $10 a month, I'll still give you the shout out as you see here, but I do creepy photography on the side, so at the beginning of every month, I send out one of my creepy photos. From there, you can print it off and do whatever you like with it. So if you're able to do this, that's awesome. If not, no sweat. I just hope you return to this channel so we can continue to have a good time together. Also, if you would like to hit me up on social media, links to my Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and Instagram are all available in the description section of this episode. And if you've not subscribed to this channel, be sure to subscribe and click that notifications bell, because I have more book reviews and videos coming in the near future. So until we see each other again, I hope you have a great week and sweet nightmares.